Is Shedeur Sanders to blame for why he fell so far in the draft? So obviously, you've heard, if you're watching this video, I'm sure, Shedeur Sanders was projected to be a first round draft pick for about 4 months now, even before that, basically since last season started. And he fell all the way down to day 3 and was drafted by the Cleveland Browns in the 5th round. And obviously, there's been a lot of things said on the internet to why Shedeur Sanders has fallen this far. From the NFL's blackballed him to they don't like seeing an African American be confident and all that, which I'm sure in some circumstances that is true. And then on the other side, somebody saying he's just not that good. And then also there's people saying, well, he's not really a great teammate, maybe not a good leader, maybe arrogant, stuck up, and all these things. And to a certain extent, I understand why people might be saying Shedeur Sanders is being blackballed. I mean, Dillon Gabriel got drafted before this guy. I mean, what's going on here? Like, Tyler Shaw was drafted before him, which I don't quite understand. Dillon Gabriel was drafted before him by the Cleveland Browns, who ended up drafting Shedeur later in the draft. Jalen Milroe, I kind of understand if people didn't think Shedeur Sanders was a good leader. Jalen Milroe is probably the best leader quarterback-wise in this draft. Jackson Dart seems to be an alright talent. Maybe the Giants didn't like Shedeur, didn't think he was a fit in New York. But I understand why people might be saying he was being blackballed or been trying to be used to teach a lesson to some players that might be portrayed as arrogant or whatnot, just simply because he's better than Dillon Gabriel. He's better than Tyler Shaw. And I understand all that. But I also do understand, I personally don't think Shedeur is that great of a leader, or maybe that great of a teammate from what we've seen in the media, what we've seen in his press conferences. He kind of seems like his shit don't stink, like he's above other players in certain situations. His body language on the field seems like he's always blaming his teammates. And we've seen in the past, NFL teams do not like the circus around a player. Whether that be media, whether that be stories, whether that be whatever, especially for the backup quarterback. We saw it with Tim Tebow. He never really got, he wasn't the best quarterback to begin with, but he never really got a fair shake because of all the media coverage that he got. Also, Cam Newton, when he was trying to become a backup for certain teams, he never really got a chance at the backup because all the media loved following Cam Newton. He was always a story. He always dressed cool and all this stuff. He never really got a second chance because of the, quote, circus. Baker Mayfield coming out of college, he got a lot of hate because of his circus and his antics on the sidelines. He was still drafted by the Browns in the 1st round, but I think Baker Mayfield coming out of college is way better than Shedeur is right now, and there's no question about that. So I just don't think teams love the, quote, circus surrounding quarterbacks and that are probably going to be the backup. They don't really like all the attention on the backup quarterback. Also, quick side note, I saw a bunch of other people saying, this guy just has attitude, or this guy just has arrogance problem, or he's not a good leader. But teams are drafting people with SA assault cases or whatever actively going on. And I understand. Shedeur Sanders has never done anything that I know of legal problems, and that's a good point. He has stayed out of the legal trouble, and there's players being drafted with cases going on right now. That is a little crazy. I do understand a lot of those players are not the quarterback, right? Franchise quarterbacks cannot have that stuff going on. So I understand a little bit that maybe they aren't the quarterback, so they don't have as many eyes on them, so the team's okay with that. But still, I thought that was a quick side note I thought was worth mentioning. Before I get into a couple things where I think maybe Shedeur might take back now, or probably could have been better of being a better teammate when he was at Colorado, I think we can all agree Shedeur Sanders, talent-wise, is a 1st-round draft pick. He's going to be a decent quarterback in the NFL. Maybe not top 12, top 10 in the league, but he's going to produce. He's going to be pretty good if he gets his chance and in the right situation. So this is a video of after the Nebraska game. He basically throws his offensive line under the bus under the bus and says, like, how many times did Raiola get hit? Basically saying Shedeur himself got hit a crap ton. He never really had time to throw. I'm just going to play this a little bit so you guys can see that he basically just throws his offensive line under the bus.
I mean, how many times did Raiola get touched?
You said what?
How many times did Raiola get touched? They was able, like, of course, whenever you able to run the ball consistently and whenever you able to, then that opens up the pass, you know. But it's just like you got to understand like what your team good at. So it's like, why would we keep running the ball if we out there and we get in a situation where it's a must get and we don't get it.
So as you can see there, maybe rightfully so, he calls out his offensive line. But you don't see that a lot with leaders in the NFL. They keep that indoors, especially being the quarterback. But he basically just throws the offensive line under the bus, saying he got hit a bunch, they can't run the ball, and it's not really his fault. So this one is, he's at the draft combine, which he did not throw at or participate at. And he also didn't participate in the Senior Bowl, which I think could have helped his draft stock. Maybe he thought he was good, didn't need to. This particular video, I don't think's all that bad. It seems like he's just confident. But like I said in the beginning of the video, this might rub some people the wrong way. I'm just going to play it so we can see it.
If you ain't trying to change the franchise or the culture, don't give me. So you should know history repeats itself over and over and over. And I've done it over and over and over. So it should be no question why an NFL franchise should pick me. You think I'm worried about what critics say or what people got to say? You know who my dad is? They hated on him too. So it's like it's almost normal. Without people hating, it's not normal for us. So we like diversity. We like everything that comes with the name. That's why we are who we are.
So like I said, that previous video I don't think was personally that bad. He just seemed really confident, but maybe some teams don't like it. Maybe they find it arrogant or maybe whatever the case may be. Here's what I was saying about how he didn't participate in the combine, the NFL combine, and didn't participate in the Senior Bowl either. Maybe he thought he was a first-round lock, which a lot of mock drafts had him, but really he didn't do anything, didn't do much in winning wise in college. So I think probably playing or participating in the combine would have helped him in the draft process. But yes, he ended up falling out of the first round, as we know. And here's a report from Tom Pelissero before the draft. He's a NFL insider, and he's usually pretty right on with his inside information. This is from an NFL assistant coach on Shedeur. It says, the worst formal interview I've ever been in my life. He's so entitled. He takes unnecessary sacks. He never plays on time. He has a horrible body language. He blames his teammates. But the biggest thing is he's not that good. Now, obviously, we don't know who this NFL assistant coach is. But, I mean, we have seen that he blames his teammates in the past. And we do know his body language is not that good on the field. I'm not sure. That's just a report, and I wanted to bring it up. Maybe it's important that his interviews were not very good with teams. Okay, so here's another situation where teams or GMs, owners might not have thought Shedeur was that great of a teammate. So Xavier Smith was on Colorado, and Deion said, transfer. I don't want to know you. I don't want to talk to you. Transfer. I don't want you here. And basically the kid was upset that Deion never really gave him a chance and didn't give him a chance to know Deion. They never got a relationship, and the kid was expressing this. And Shedeur Sanders quote tweeted it and said, I don't even remember him, to be honest. Bro must have been mid. You don't want to see this from a franchise quarterback. I don't care who you are. You don't want to see this as a franchise quarterback. I remember Ben Roethlisberger earlier in his career would always go on the radio station in Pittsburgh and always kind of bitch at his teammates, and it was not a good look. He was losing a lot of fans. He was losing a lot of leadership opportunities, I guess, in the locker room. This is just not a good look. I mean, I don't care who you are. This is not a good look. So just to recap, I think Shedeur Sanders is good enough, or was good enough, to be a first-round draft pick. But maybe some of the interviews or the things that teams saw on the field, maybe they didn't like. Leadership qualities, blaming teammates, things of that nature. And maybe it was they were blackballing him. I don't really know. We don't really know. But I do think maybe some of the things Shedeur Sanders could have done differently through this process. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and whatnot. Thank you.